I'm going to show you how you can build this self-learning AI agent in n8n step by step. So here's the database with all the different memories that I have stored, for example, that I support Arsenal. Now, if I go back to our chat over here, I'm going to go and create a new memory based on this input. I like apples. What different types of apples are there? So the memory it's going to store about us is that it likes apples. And that's exactly what it's done. It's firstly got all the rows that we have in there. It's gone and created a new row to say that I like apples. And then it's passed it onto this second agent. And this second agent is what's going to respond to us. So the second agent is going to grab all the memory that it has of us and then create a response. So you're definitely in good company when it comes to liking apples. There are many different types out there. And then it goes and highlights all the different types of apples we can go and get. And if I flick back to our database and if I hit refresh, you can see it's going to say Yash likes apples. This is a brand new memory that it just stored in based on the input we gave it within the chat. So if you notice, there are two different agents currently working within this automation. The first one is this memory picker. This is the one that's actually impacting and changing all the different things within this database within Supabase. So this one will decide if it needs to delete a row. It will grab all the rows every single time we put an input in, and it will decide if it needs to go create a row if we put a different memory within the chat. The sole purpose of this agent is just to go and manage this database and make sure that everything in there is super clean. So after this memory picker agent, we have this know-it-all agent. The reason why we call it the know-it-all is because it knows everything about us. So, and that's all because of this Supabase node over here. So what this Supabase node allows you to do is it grabs all the different memories we have, passes it to the know-it-all agent, and then this will use all of that information we have to create a response based on all the memories it has stored within our database over here. This way, every single time you chat with this agent, it will always know all the different memories it saved based on your previous chats, and it'll give you a really customized response. You can think about implementing this within a chatbot, for example. You can think about implementing this within a separate automation where it needs to learn on a continuous basis about different responses. It's amazing for an email agent. You know, when someone's responding to different emails, you can store all your different emails within a Supabase database like this one, and then it can learn from your previous responses and it will continually evolve and get better. It's a really useful and versatile automation that you can apply to so many different scenarios based on your use case. Okay, so now we're going to go step by step on exactly how you can go and build this automation out within your n8n account. The first thing we want to do is add this when chat received message button. So we click the plus icon over here and then we type in chat and then we create a chat trigger, right? And we're only allowed one, but essentially we'll pop this one open and you don't need to do any configuration within a chat trigger. You just kind of leave it here. Then the second node we're going to need is an AI agent node. So we go over to the plus icon, we type in AI agent, and we click on one of these. And then we, of course, want the prompt to just be the json.chat input. So anytime you enter a chat whenever you enter in a chat within the chat function within n8n, this is what will pass through to this node over here. And this is just the AI agent node over here. And as you can see, it's connected to the when chat message received. So that's exactly what this is. So now that you have the AI agent within your workflow, this one's going to be the memory picker. This is the one that's going to make sure that this database over here is super clean. It will look through within your different messages that you're putting within chat. It'll analyze whether there's a memory that it needs to store in there. And if there is a memory it needs to store in there, it will go and create a new row. If there isn't anything, it will just pass it straight down to the know-it-all. And that's the main purpose of this memory picker. So when you open up this memory picker, you can see that it's connected to a chat trigger node and the input user message is exactly what it was when I created a new AI agent json.chat input. And then we've got a system message. I'm going to go through the system message after I've explained the entire agent and all of these different nodes down here. But essentially, this is the secret sauce when you're building out an agent, and you need to make sure that your prompt is super, super strong. Otherwise, this automation will not work. So I'm going to show you exactly how I generated this prompt. It's a super, super cool way to generate AI agent prompts, which are the main backbone behind when you're building out an AI agent. Also, the main reason I have two different agents over here is because if you give an agent too much to do in one go, essentially it gets confused and sometimes it can give you the wrong output, and sometimes it might not create a row when it's supposed to, or it might delete a row when it's not supposed to. So that's why it's better to separate out different agents in n8n for their own kind of use case, so then it's less likely to go wrong. Okay, sweet. So you've got your agent. You might not have a system message yet because we're going to go through that in a minute, but then you need to go and create a chat model. I need to go connect one up. And how you can do that is you just click on this plus icon over here under chat model, and then you can just type in OpenAI. You could obviously connect up any AI LLM that you want, Claude, Anthropic, Claude, OpenAI, or Google's one. But I'm just using OpenAI for now. And I've just literally connected up to GPT-4o Mini because I find it really powerful and it's really cheap. So, and it works really well for this use case. So that's why I've got OpenAI Mini over here. There is one key step that you're going to need to do before you can connect this module up, and that is essentially to add your credentials with your OpenAI API. Now, I've made a ton of videos on how to do this. One of the most notable ones is how to connect OpenAI to make.com. It's exactly the same process in n8n as it is in make.com, so you can refer back to that video on my channel. However, essentially you just go over here, you click create new credential, you enter in your API key and your organization ID, and then you're good to go basically. So you can do this all within the OpenAI API interface. It's super simple to connect up. Just follow one of those video tutorials over there. If you haven't already had this done, you're going to need this for pretty much every single AI automation you build within n8n or make.com. So it's a really basic thing that you just need to do essentially. So that's exactly how you need to connect this up. So once you've done that and you've connected up an AI model into your chat model, you then want to just add simple memory. This is super simple in n8n. You just click the plus icon and then click on simple memory and it all gets set up essentially. And then you just need the session key from JSON session ID. It's super simple to do. So it's all kind of pre-programmed when you just implement this simple memory within there. So let me hook this back up. Okay, so now we need to go and give the AI agent tools that it can work with to maintain our database. And this is all done using Supabase. So the first thing we need to do is go and create a Supabase account. Supabase is entirely free, and you can replace these Supabase modules with either an Airtable modules over there with create, get all rows and delete rows, or you can also replace these nodes with an Airtable delete, get all rows and create rows. I like Supabase because it's free and it's more robust than Google Sheets. Whereas Airtable, they do normally charge you. So that's why I'm using Supabase over here. And it's not super complicated to set up, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it step by step. So let's flick over, let's go to supabase.com. I spelled that wrong, so let's go supabase.com, perfect. And I've already got an account set up, but essentially what it's going to get you to do is create a new organization. So I'm going to be here right with you. Just sign up for Supabase essentially on supabase.com. Just enter your email and passwords in. And then it's going to take you to this page where it's create a new organization. I'm just going to call this one n8n YT test because this is going on YouTube and it's just a test. And set it up as free, and then type of organization is personal. Create a new organization, and then it's going to ask you to go and create a new project. All right, so here we are on create a new project, and you need to enter in a database password and make sure you keep a note of this database password because you are going to need it if you're going to use Supabase in the future. So I've already created a note of this password and I've added it in, and then I click on create new project. Also region, I'm based in London, so therefore it's going to give me Central EU Frankfurt as one of the locations. You can of course change this to whatever location you fancy. I'm just going to leave it as the one in Frankfurt, and I'm going to create new project. Okay, so now that you've gone and created your project, Supabase is going to take a minute to go and set up your project, so just wait and allow it to do its thing in the background. Okay, so now this project is all set up. As you can see, the project status is all green. So now if you go to settings in the bottom left corner, and then you head to data API, these are the two fields we're interested in under project API keys. Click on the plus icon under tools, and you want to go to Supabase. Let's type in Supabase tool over here, and your credentials to connect with, you'll come up to a page like this with host and service role secret. So of course your host is going to be over here, which is the URL project URL. So this is going to be this crazy letters and supabase.co. As you can see, that matches up exactly to this page over here, and you just paste that over in. And then you need your service role secret. And you can go and grab your service role secret from here. I'm going to click reveal and then copy it. And now I'm just going to paste the service role secret in. It's some crazy long key. And then you just click save in the top right. I'm not going to do this because I've already got my account all set up and everything's on there. But essentially that's exactly how you would do it step by step to go and connect Supabase to your n8n. And once you've gone and do that, there'll be a green box over here that says the connection has been successful. So now that we've got Supabase connected up to n8n, we also need to go and create that table within Supabase that I showed you over here. That's in this kind of format. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to go to table editor, right? And we're going to go click create a new table. And we're just going to call this table, I'm just going to call it YT test as well, or let's call it memories, right? Memories for AI agent. And over here, we're going to create some rows. So this is what your columns section should look like. You've got ID, and then the type should be int8. This is already set up when you set up a new table, so that's already done for you. Created at, and then you want a timestamp type, and then the default value to be now, open bracket, close bracket. Again, this should already be there. And the only new thing we've done is we've added a column and then called it memory and then put the type as text. So again, you just come up here, type in text, and then you set the variable length character string text over here, and you just call the name memory like that, right? And this is the new table that we want to go and create. And then we just go and click save in the bottom right corner. And this will go and create a new table. And this one will look exactly like our test table over here. ID created at memory, and this one's ID created at memory. So as long as you follow those three exact headers, this automation will work perfectly fine. The table I have that I'm going to be using for this automation is called YT test. And as you can see, it has all the memories in here and all the different IDs in here. And how we set this up in this different tools section is by adding these 1, 2, 3 different tools that connect up to our memory picker agent. So let's go over the first one, which is deleting a row. So let me double click this, or let me just add a new row, and then we go Supabase tool, right? We connect it up to our Supabase account, and then we've got the tool to be set as we want to set this manually, and then we want to put this one as delete data in a table. So this description helps the AI decide exactly what tool and what tool does what, right? So this one's obviously going to be our deleting row. So we're going to rename this to delete underscore row, for example. And of course, we're going to go, the resource is going to be kept to row, and then we're going to do operation. We obviously want it to delete. And then we want the table name or ID to be under YT test, because that's the table we just went and created. Your one might be called memories. Just make sure that the table name you've got over here that has the ID created at and memory headers is exactly the same table you're selecting over here. And then select type we want to build manually, and then must match any selected condition. So the delete row is a bit more complicated. You have to add a condition so the AI knows exactly which row to delete within here, right? So we need to add a condition, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the ID integer, and then we're going to set the condition as equals, and then the field value we're going to set as a defined automatically by model. So what the delete row does is, say I have a memory in my database over here, and it says Yash hates arts and crafts, right? And I go, oh, I love arts and crafts. And I do this as a recent message. I'm going to show you an example of this, but I enter this into the chat that I love arts and crafts. Well, now there's conflicting information, right? Before I said I hated arts and crafts, and now I'm saying I love arts and crafts. So the more recent one is what has more power than the previous one. So if I said that now, as it's more recent, it will delete this row over here and add a new row that says Yash loves arts and crafts. This is to make sure our table is managed really, really carefully, right? So over here, the AI needs to know exactly which row essentially to delete. So over here, it would be row 17 that it needs to delete. So when it goes and grabs all the rows, which we're going to set that module up, then obviously it knows that it needs to delete row 17, but we need to allow it to do it within this module. So ID integer, which is this section over here, we want the model to define exactly which row it needs to go and delete. And we go add a description, and this description will be the ID number that you would like to delete, right? So this gives it a description of exactly what needs to go here. So for example, if it wants to delete row 17, then it will pick row 17 to go and delete, and then it will essentially enter that into the field value ID integer equals this, and it will go and delete that row. It's pretty smart, and it's a really cool way to, set this automation up. Again, if you're a little bit confused now, this will all get pieced together once I explain exactly how this agent is prompted But that should kind of make sense, right? This module needs to be set up for it to know which row to delete. And that's why we've set this variable up like that. Cool. So that's the delete row variable done. And you can see the one I existingly have set up is set up the exact same way. The ID of the row which you are deleting with the conflicting information. And of course I set the description as delete data in table. It's exactly set up the exact same way. Okay, so that's the first tool set up, right? Let me just go delete the duplicate one over here. The second tool we want to go and do is this get all rows tool. So this is set up exactly the same way. We've got it set up to the same credentials. The tool description is set automatically. We can set this manually actually. And this one is to get all the rows within the table, right? And of course, the resource is still going to be set to rows, and the operation here is not going to be set to delete, it's going to be set to get many. This is because we want to grab all the rows within our table, so then the AI has an idea of what to do. So for example, this is a simple response. It will say the ID created at, and then the memory, Yash hates arts and crafts. So this way, for example, in the message, if I put Yash loves arts and crafts, it knows ID 17 is conflicting with the new memory that I'm putting in to the actual agent, right? So it'll go and delete ID 17 with the delete module. So that's what this is for. It's really easy to set up. Again, make sure the table name or ID is exactly the same as the table name or ID that you have set up within Supabase. And you don't need any filter. You just leave the limit to be defined by the model and must match any filter, and you just leave this all blank and just leave it exactly like this. And this will grab every single row within the table. And then the last thing we have is create a new row. And this one is set up to go and create and add new memories into our table over here. So for example, in the example I showed you, Yash likes apples, that will go through this tool over here to go and create a new row just to say that I like apples. So we've got the Supabase account set up exactly the same. Tool description set automatically. Again, we can set this manually and go create a new row within the table for new memories. And then we have the resource set as row, operation obviously set to create, this time not get many, but of course to create. And then we have defined below for each column for data to send. So the data to send, of course, is the field value defined automatically by the model. So the description, the memory you would like to save from the user's chat input. So that's exactly what we're going to put within this row, which is the memory, right? And then the second field that we have identified is the field name or ID. And this is the created at one, right? So we just put that as now. This is a JavaScript for now. You kind of need to know this is very basic in n8n to kind of know this. Essentially, it's just squiggly lines and then now you can ask ChatGPT to do this, but it's super simple. So every single time it creates a new memory, it will use now. So obviously right now it is, this is basically the timestamp for exactly the time right now. So that's how that works. And make sure you leave the ID integer empty. So it will automatically come and create a new ID integer. So of course I've deleted 17 rows within this while I was testing. So every single time I add a new one, it'll be 22, 23, 24, 25, and so on and so forth. So that's exactly how the ID integer works. That is done automatically in Supabase. So you don't need to worry about adding that as a separate definition for each different column. Okay, sweet. So that's these three tools all set up exactly how they should be set up, right? Let me go and delete this create new row module over here. So this looks super clean now. Let me just go clean it up. Perfect. So now the memory picker is almost all set up. Now comes the most important part, and that is to actually get it prompted properly. So to be completely upfront, this was the thing that was the hardest part to actually set up with this entire agent, right? And that is to make sure that it gets it right every single time. It stores memories when it's supposed to, it deletes memories when it's supposed to, and it makes sure it gets the memory every single time you enter an input, just to make sure that there's nothing to delete or nothing to add. So this is the hardest part within actually building this whole agent out, right? And of course, you can go further and improve this prompt to what I've done. It works really well for me. Of course, if you have different use cases for this, such as an email use case or something else, and this prompt is going to need to change, I'm going to show you exactly how you can change it. And prompt engineering is one of those valuable things you can learn if you're trying to build out AI automations. So that's why this one's so valuable, right? So As an intelligent memory tracking AI in an n8n workflow connected to a Supabase, you have two key functions. Number one is memory retrieval and response. When a user asks a question or seeks information, search Supabase for relevant memories and provide helpful responses. And the second one is the memory management. Identify, store, and update and delete memories about Yash and people in Yash's life. So for example, if I put in chat, John likes to eat Ferrero Rocher, for example, I've just got it, Ferrero Rocher in front of me. That's why I just thought that. Then it will add that in as John likes that. Anytime I said I like Ferrero Rocher, for example, then it'll add it as Yash likes Ferrero Rocher. So it knows that I am the main user of this AI agent. And the tools, we've got to define exactly what tools it has. It has a Supabase get all rows, used first when receiving any message to load existing memories. Supabase create new row, used when you have new information to store. And the second thing is Supabase delete row, used when you need to remove contradictory information, right? And there's a memory retrieval process, which is for any user message, first retrieve all memories from Supabase, analyze the request to identify relevant memories. When the user asks about the personal topic, search your retrieved memories for relevant information. Provide helpful responses based on stored memories. If no relevant memories exist, clearly state you don't have that information. Never claim you're unable to provide information if you don't have relevant memories in Supabase. And for the memory storage process, for Yash, when user speaks in first person, so like I like strawberries, for example, store as Yash likes strawberries. When I like Ferrero Rocher, store as Yash is X. Essentially, anytime it's in the first person, it'll store it as me. For other people, so for example, when I mention Sam loves hiking, that's what you store. Or when user describes relationships, Sam is my cousin, then you need to add that in as Sam is my cousin. Store exactly as stated, preserving the original subject name. So it doesn't get confused between user likes hiking if it's not me, but I'm talking about Sam, for example. Memory management, identify contradictions, look for entries that contradict new information. When a contradiction is found, use memory ID from Supabase to delete the old memory. So in Supabase, get all rows, use this exact ID to delete your row function. For example, if Jack loves skiing and I contradict that with Jack rarely goes skiing, you can go and delete the memory, for example. After deleting the contradictory memory, store in the new information. Always prioritize new information over old. Avoid duplicates. Check for semantic similarity within existing memories. If I say I like strawberries and I love strawberries, it shouldn't store it twice, basically, is what this is saying over here. When asked about someone or something in your memories, always check Supabase first. Provide helpful answers. If you have relevant information, use it naturally in your response. Maintain a friendly conversational tone. Don't reference checking memories. Just respond naturally, kind of like a human would, right? If there's someone like a parent of yours that remembers a lot of things you like and don't like, for example, they like tomatoes, they're not going to always say, oh, I'm checking my memories to understand if you don't like tomatoes or you don't like tomatoes. They're just going to say you don't like tomatoes because that's normal human interaction. So that's exactly why we've said this. Always check Supabase before responding to any user message. And when deleting contradictory examples, always use the exact memory ID integer you've received from the get all rows function. So that's exactly why this prompt will work really well with this delete row function over here, as it's going to grab the integer and delete that one. So that was a prompt that took me at least, I'd say, 6 or 7 trials to go and get right. And it works really well now. And how I went and got this prompt to work is using something really cool called Claude's console. It's basically Claude. You can use it using Claude AI as well, but essentially when you set up a Claude API, they give you this kind of workbench. And over here, you can generate a prompt, improve an existing prompt, or write a prompt from scratch. I normally use the write from prompt from scratch part over here. And this one's really useful when you're actually looking to write different prompts. You can get access to this by just typing in console Claude, right? And if I Google this, it's essentially this console.anthropic.com. If you click on this, obviously I'm logged in, so it's going to take me over here, but you could log in and do it. I'm going to be completely honest, this is a paid thing. Essentially, it uses your API key fund essentially to anytime you use this, so it's not free. If you want a free version, just go to claude.ai. I'm pretty sure you probably have access to this and you can just type in whatever you want and create your prompt using this, but this has limitations because I'm on the free plan. I don't pay for Claude, to be entirely honest. I do pay for the API, so that's why I use this version over here. If you pay for Claude, even better. Otherwise, you can use the free version and come back every single day to iterate on your prompt. So how I went and generated this prompt step by step is pretty much I went into Claude console over here. And by the way, I'm going to make a really in-depth video of how to get the most out of this Claude console. I find it amazing for prompt engineering. And like I said, prompt engineering is one of the most important parts of AI automation. So I'm going to make a really in-depth video on how to do this. It's just a quick overview of how I generated this specific prompt, just so if you want to make changes to the prompt, you can. So I put the system prompt as you are a professional prompt engineer, and then I've given it a general scope of exactly what I wanted the prompt to do. So I want you to create me a prompt that will gather interest based on a user's message. For example, if someone says, I like strawberries, I want it to pick out that I like strawberries and then essentially put that within a memory database. But if the user goes close ramen stores near me, nothing should be stored. Like that, you shouldn't be like, oh, the user likes ramen. There's not defined over here. It needs to kind of be a little bit more explicit to make sure that it understands what the user is doing, right? So that's exactly what I went and did, and then the agent went back. I obviously ask it, one of the key things when you're generating prompts with Claude is to ask it for any questions it has before going to actually generate the prompt. This way it'll come up with a much better prompt because there's some questions you might not have thought of that the AI is going to get confused on and then just assume. So rather than assuming, why don't we narrow down exactly what Claude's going to go through? So it said, are you looking to capture any explicit preferences? I started off with just explicit. Should the AI focus on specific categories such as food? And I said just everything, capture everything. Would you like the AI to confirm whether the users, like before storing an interest? I said no, I want it to do it in the background, just like a human. A human doesn't go, okay, would you like me to remember the fact that you don't like tomatoes? A human's just going to remember it, right? The same way I wanted this model to just go and remember it. And secondly, how should the AI handle ambiguity? For example, my friend loves jazz. Should it recognize this isn't the user's interest? Yes, and do not store it unless the friend is defined as Jack loves jazz music, right? Because you're not going to know which friend it is. You can't add that as a memory unless we actually say exactly who the memory belongs to. And then it went and generated this prompt, right? And I copied and pasted this prompt in, but I wanted to make sure it's set up for like an n8n agent. So I said, this is going to be an n8n AI agent connected to Supabase table where it would store the memories, update the prompt for this. And then it went and gave me a new prompt. And then I tried it out, right? And I said the phrase, I'm a pro ice rink skater. What are the best techniques to advance my skills? The agent should have captured that the person is a pro ice rink skater, and it didn't. So I went back to it with a problem, right? And then it went and tried to fix the problem by generating a new prompt over here. And then I copied and pasted that prompt and I said, this is the part of the AI, the prompt I'm using, but I need you to cut it down in length and only keep the important bits. I thought it was really long. So when storing the memory, the AI should clean it up before passing it into Supabase. It was giving some really unclean memories when I started doing that. So again, I wanted a new adjustment. So I came back to Claude and I asked it for the adjustments I needed. And as you can see, it's an iterative process over and over again, just having a conversation with the AI till we go and get the prompt right, just by continuous testing. It's hard work, but that's how you build out agents that don't break, basically. So at the end, I went and said, I'm also giving the agent access to an existing table and all the memories in there. I want to add a section in the prompt to prevent it from putting duplicate memories in the table. And I wasn't super happy with the prompt it went and gave me. So I went back to a different Claude chat. So as you can tell, this one's interest extraction prompt generator. This one's interest tracking AI configuration. So again, I put a system prompt as you're an expert at prompting n8n agent. I put in a different prompt that I'd also passed through ChatGPT. And essentially, I wanted to clean the structure, not the content, to pass into an AI n8n agent. It went and cleared up that ChatGPT prompt for me here. And then I said it keeps saving memories. For example, if I enter I like cookies, it was just saving it as cookies, not like I like cookies, or just saving it as cookies. So I want it to say whenever I use it, for example, I want it to be Yash likes cookies, not just I like cookies or just the word cookies. I want it to be Yash likes cookies. So that's what it went and gave me a new prompt that it says Yash likes cookies. I think it changed some stuff over here. And then I said, are you sure this prompt won't store it in memories just as cookies? Because I went and retried it and it still just stored the memory as cookies instead of Yash likes cookies. So I went back and said, are you sure this is going to happen? And then it gave me a new prompt. And then it stopped storing it as just cookies. It started storing it as Yash likes cookies. So we're one step closer with this prompt than where we were before. And then again, I went through another iterative process of going, okay, I now need a prompt for an AI agent that has access to these memories, and it needs to use memories to give me answers. Ask me any questions you need before generating the prompt. So this is when I want to go and add extra things to this prompt. And essentially, it asks me a few questions. What's the primary use of this agent? How should the agent refer to memories? Should the agent proactively mention memories? Blah, blah, blah. Ask me a bunch of different questions. I went and answered these questions. So it's just to be used as an AI assistant. It shouldn't explicitly say, hey, I'm looking through this memory. I just want it to weave it into the answer. Only when direct and relevant to the question, but it should use them when it's appropriate to answer the question. This is when it should mention the memories. I don't want it to go overkill. Like if I have a memory that says I like skiing and then I mention something about strawberries, it shouldn't mention the skiing thing. I didn't want it to go really overkill. The kind of conversation, I want it to be like talking to a friend. So I put it as middle casual, normal language, like talking to a friend. And I obviously want priority by timestamp. The more recent, the better. And then obviously recent is more priority. Again, I was just drilling that into its head. And then lastly, it was, do you want the agent to explain its reasoning? Again, humans don't explain reasoning. They just kind of subconsciously know, for example, if you don't like tomatoes. I want it to be exactly the same way. I just want it to just kind of know that you don't like tomatoes, not to explicitly mention it to you. Okay. And then lastly, the below prompt does not work as it does not allow me to add memories for other people aside from myself. Adjust it so. So then it went and adjusted it so I can add memories for my friends and family members. And then I will also store memories about people I know in this memory section, implement it that into the prompt so it's not just Yasha's memories. So I wanted to add a new feature in here where it adds it to different family members of mine or different friends of mine, so I can, add those memories in as well about those people. This is great for gift ideas. For example, I sometimes talk about my partner and I say things that she likes, and then when I go and look for a gift for her, I can just ask about what gift to go buy her. It's a secret tactic you can use. It's pretty cool. Okay, and then the agent essentially asked me if it would like to make that change. I said yes, and then it went and made the change where I can add my family and friends into this essentially. And at this point, the agent was working really well. It was grabbing the right tools. It was allocating the memories correctly. I wanted to add one more functionality to show you guys, and that was the delete functionality, right? And I knew this one's going to be a bit more complicated, and the agent is really going to have to do some thinking to make sure it understands which memories to delete and which ones not to. So I said, thanks, it works well now, which it was working really well. I want you to add one more tool. And it's a tool that allows you to delete memories. This should be when there is conflicting information, always prioritize the information that has come in over the old information in the table. Ask me any questions you need before generating this. And I said, understand what specific conditions should the n8n, when should it basically delete these memories? And I said, give me a few scenarios of when you think it would be appropriate to delete memories, and I'll tell you if it's appropriate or not, basically. Question 2 was, should the agent automatically delete contradictory memories, or should it ask confirmation first? It should just automatically delete them. I want it to be autonomous. When you say prioritize the information that has come in over old information, do you want the agent to delete old contradictory information? Yes, we do. Keep both but mark the new one. No, we don't want to do that. And something else, we just said the number A. And how should the agent identify contradictions? I said all contradictions, including weaker ones. I left it quite open. You can go and change this, but I like it to keep it open. Like, for example, if Adam loves skiing, my mate Adam, he loves skiing, and then I go, Adam rarely skis, even though that might still mean he loves it, he just doesn't have time, I still made that. So they delete love skiing and then just puts rarely go skiing, right? So it's up to you how you want to weigh that up and how you want it to define the logic. That's how I've got it set up over here. And then, are there any specific types of memories that should never be deleted regardless of contradictions? And I put no, I just left it super loose, right? And that's up to you however you want to do it. And then again, it gave me a bunch of different ways in which it could be appropriate to delete memories, and I put yes to all of them because I'm leaving it as open as physically possible. And then lastly, it gave me the enhanced prompt, and then I said, I put Jack rarely goes skiing now. Could you tell me a few reasons why? And the response was, I'm unable to provide information about Jack's skiing habits without any personal disclosure. Your prompt has made it stop adding memories or checking them, fix it, basically. It stopped working. The whole prompt stopped working. So then I went to Claude and told it to fix it based on the error I got. And then essentially it went and generated a new prompt. And over here, I basically put this prompt works when deleting the memory. The model needs to use the memory ID, which is an integer, which will it will get from the get all rows function, add this into the prompt. So this was the last step when I figured out exactly how to set up this delete row module over here. And then all the functionality was added, and that's what led us to this massive, amazing system message over here. So that's like A to Z, exactly how I went and prompted this AI agent. And that's basically the backbone of this entire automation. That's what makes it work as well as it does. So that's step by step exactly how you can go and create a AI agent for the memory picker section. And then we have the second AI agent over here, right? It's called the know-it-all. And the know-it-all is really simple to set up, especially versus the memory picker agent. And this is because the chat model it's connected up to is exactly the same way, just GPT-4o mini. We've set the memory exactly the same way to just simple memory over here. And just to show you exactly what, it's just all set up like this. The memory set up as, you just need to make sure you put the, where is it gone? So we just need to make sure you put the when chat message received session ID over here. So let me see if I can find it. When chat memory received. Sorry, I was in the debugging section. So if you switch over to mapping and then you get the session ID, you just drag that over into here. And that's exactly where that is stored. And then secondly, we have a Supabase module over here, which is set up exactly the same way as get all rows over here. So you can see over here, it's set up to the Supabase account, tool description. Let's set this manually, get data from table. Let's just put this over here as get data from our table. And let's set this up as a get underscore data, right? Rename that, perfect. And then the resource is set as row, and then the operation is get many. The table I've set up as YT test, again, make sure it's set up exactly the same as the table in Supabase. And then the limit, again, defined by model, and then the filters and everything set up exactly the same way as the get all rows module. Okay, and then the know-it-all module is set up like this. So the prompt is, again, set up, you get the when chat message received section right at the start. We want to go and put that chat input over into here. And then we want the source for prompt to be, normally if you change it from connect chat trigger to define below. And then you enter this prompt in over here. And then let's open up this memories thing. This was really simple to set up. I just went into Claude and essentially told exactly what I wanted to do. You are Yash's AI system with access to stored memories about Yash's interests and also people in his life. Your goal is to provide helpful, personalized responses. So basically, the main purpose of this prompt over here is the tools you have is Supabase, get all rows. Memory types you can access is Yash's personal preferences and then also about people he knows. So using memories, access the Supabase database and retrieve all relevant stored memories when needed. Prioritize more recent memories over old ones. When using memories, only when directly relevant to the conversation or topic. Don't randomly list memories. If memories contain contradictory information, favor the most recent memory. This shouldn't be the case because contradictory ones should be deleted. However, just in case they aren't, then we've got a fail safe in here as well. Style, speak casually and naturally like a friend. Use conversational language rather than formal explanations. Be warm and personable, essentially, and don't explicitly mention according to your memories. We just want it to sound like a human. When to use memory when Yash asks for recommendations related to people's interests or his interests. When Yash asks about their preferences or activities. When providing suggestions that align with Yash's or their friends' interests. When contextual information about relationships would enhance your response. When not to use memories for general knowledge questions unrelated to personal context, when the current conversation clearly contradicts stored information, when memories are outdated based on more recent conversation. The response approach, start with direct answer to the question, naturally incorporate relevant memory information, keep responses concise and friendly, don't explain your memory retrieval process, just respond normally. If there are no relevant memories to inform your response, simply provide the best helpful answer. This will just use basically GPT to give you your answer. Again, you can change this LLM and model to absolutely anything you want. If you prefer chatting to Claude, then you can use Claude. So that's exactly how that's prompted up. The way to prompt this was very simple. I just went into Claude and asked for a prompt, basically. And that's how you can do that. And then this is the entire agent all set up. And of course. Now, anytime you have a chat with it, it'll go and create new memories in Supabase, delete them, and keep this all looking neat. So let's run through a couple of demos while we're here. So let's run through like a delete demo, right? So I'm going to go through that. I love arts and crafts now instead of hating them. So let's write in the chat over here. Let's click open chat. I love arts and crafts. Give me some suggestions for my new build, right? Let's go for that and let's see exactly what it does. So we're going to go through the chat. The memory picker is going to go and get all the rows. It's going to delete a row, which was the one that we hated arts and crafts. It's going to create a new row that we love arts and crafts, and then it's going to pass it to the know-it-all agent. The know-it-all agent is going to grab all the data, and then it's going to give us a response. So we can see over here, let's make this a little bigger. That's great that you love arts and crafts. Here are some tailored suggestions. Awesome, right? So it's basically gone and done this. And let's have a look at the back end on this table, which stored all our memories. So we go over here, and you can see over here, Yash loves arts and crafts is here, and the Yash hates arts and crafts has been deleted from this table over here, right? And let's go and create some other information. Let's say we have a friend called Sam, and let's create some information about Sam. Okay, so I went and stored some memories about my mate Sam. Sam loves hiking, eating pizza, and loves eating at fancy restaurants, right? So let's go and ask an AI this question. So I've gone and refreshed the chat, so it has no memory of any previous chats we've had. And now I'm going to go, Sam, give me a day out for myself and my friend Sam. And then essentially I'm going to go and click send. And now this should go through, and then it probably won't store any memories because there's no memories within there. And then it's going to go pass all of this information onto the know-it-all agent. And then the know-it-all agent is going to give us a cool response. And essentially it's going to use all the information from our table to go and essentially grab some information. So the first thing is to do a morning hike. Kick off your day with a refreshing hike, since both of you and Sam love it. Choose a nearby trail with beautiful views to enjoy nature and chat along the way. So essentially this is cool because as Yash and Sam loves hiking. And then also lunch at a fancy restaurant. After your hike, head to one of those fancy restaurants that Sam enjoys because it knows Sam loves some arts and crafts. Sorry, it loves a fancy restaurant. And then afternoon art/stroll. After lunch, you can spend some time at an art gallery. This is because I love arts and crafts. And then lastly, pizza. And this is because Sam likes pizza, I like arts and crafts. So essentially it's come up with a really cool day based on our likes and use cases. Now this is like a super novelty use case for this. It's really useful, for example, if you need to train and not train, but have an AI reference different information on things that's happened previously. Emails is an amazing, brilliant use case for something like this. So that's this AI automation that can learn based on different actions that you have, and you can train it by doing a bunch of different use cases. And for example, if you put emails in certain folders, you can train it on that. And it can store that within its memory. So yeah, that's how you build an AI automation that learns on the job, right? It will store memories on whatever you want it to store it on. This is one novelty use case. You can use it for emails or any business use cases. You can use it for anything, right? It's super, super cool. So if you enjoyed this AI automation tutorial, it'd help a lot if you could interact with this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.